Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua. Chiede il maestro delle cerimonie di leggere il messaggio.
Preso su di sé tutto il male del mondo.
All right, we're going to bring you some breaking news just coming into us now here in Al Jazeera that Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church, has died. Just to repeat that, an announcement being made by the Vatican in a video statement saying Pope Francis, who we know has been suffering health challenges, has now passed away. It ends an often turbulent reign that has reigned in the Vatican as he sought to overhaul the institution. Now, we do know that the Pope had appeared briefly to give traditional Easter blessing on Sunday. He appeared from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in front of crowds there. And that appearance followed a brief meeting with the US Vice President J.D. Vance.
Buonasera.
Pope Francis, who reached out to the margins of society, has died at 88. Pope Francis, the first non-European head of the Roman Catholic Church in more than a millennium, died at age 88. He died Monday at his residence in the Vatican's Casa Santa Marta. According to a statement from the Vatican, Francis was one of the most popular popes in decades and a towering figure on the world stage, addressing not just Catholics but the men and women of our time. The outspoken Pope lent his voice to almost every modern issue facing the world, often taking the side of the marginalized and vulnerable. He spoke out against commercial exploitation of the environment, rich countries' unwillingness to accept migrants, the alienation caused by technology, and the lucrative sale of weapons of war. He was unafraid to tussle with some of the most powerful figures in politics, famously calling President Trump's plans to build a border wall not Christian in 2016, and correcting Vice President Vance on Christians' obligations to care for immigrants in 2025. For all of that, Francis was at times a controversial figure in his own church. Conservative critics charged him with bending church dogma as a concession to modern mores. Progressives, meanwhile, were disappointed that he did not go further to include LGBTQ Catholics and women in church leadership. Who is Pope Francis? Pope Francis has served as the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church since March 2013. The first Pope from the Americas, Francis took his papal title after Saint Francis of Assisi of Italy. Prior to his election as Pope, he spent more than a decade as Cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church of Argentina and Archbishop of Buenos Aires. Francis was also president of the Bishops' Conference of Argentina from 2005 to 2011. Named Person of the Year by Time magazine in 2013, Pope Francis' tenure has been characterized by humility and outspoken support of the world's poor and marginalized people. He has also advocated in areas of political diplomacy and for environmentalism. Pope Francis was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on December 17, 1936. His parents, Mario and Regina, were Italian immigrants. As a young man, Bergoglio underwent surgery to remove part of one of his lungs due to a serious infection. He graduated from a technical school as a chemical technician before beginning training at the Diocesan Seminary of Villa Devoto. In March 1958, he entered the novitiate of the Society of Jesus. Bergoglio taught literature and psychology at Immaculate Conception College in the Argentinian province of Santa Fe in 1964 and 1965. The next year, he taught the same subjects at the Colegio del Salvatore in Buenos Aires. He studied theology and received a degree from the Colegio of San Jose from 1967 to 1970, and finished his doctoral thesis in theology in Freiburg, Germany, in 1986. Pope Francis has been a Roman Catholic priest since he was in his early 30s. Ordained as a priest in December 1969, Bergoglio began serving as Jesuit Provincial of Argentina in 1973. He has said that initially, His mother didn't support his decision to enter the priesthood despite the fact that she was a devout Catholic. By the time he was ordained, however, she accepted his calling and asked for his blessing at the end of his ordination. He later returned to the Colegio of San Jose, his alma mater, where he served as rector from 1980 to 1986 as well as a professor of theology. On May 20, 1992, Bergoglio was named titular bishop of Auca and auxiliary of Buenos Aires. He was ordained into that post a week later. In February 1998, he became Archbishop of Buenos Aires, succeeding Antonio Corricino. 3 years later, in February 2001, he was elevated to cardinal by Pope John Paul II and named the cardinal priest of St. Robert Bellarmino. He served as president of the Bishops' Conference of Argentina from 2005 until 2011. After Pope John Paul II's death in April 2005, Bergoglio reportedly received the second most votes in the 2005 papal conclave. However, Pope Benedict XVI was chosen as Pope John Paul's successor. Pope Francis greets a crowd outside St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City after being elected to serve as the pontiff in March 2013. On March 13, 2013, at the age of 76, Bergoglio was named the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. The new pontiff adopted the name Pope Francis after Saint Francis of Assisi of Italy. He is the first citizen from the Americas, the first non-European, and the first Jesuit priest to be named Pope. Prior to the 2013 papal conclave, Pope Francis had served as both cardinal and archbishop for more than 12 years. The tone of his papacy, which has become admired globally, was established long before his elevation to the Church's highest position. However, when he was named to that post, the media quickly picked up on stories of his humility. News circulated about the fact that he returned to the boarding house where he had been staying to pay his bill personally, rather than send an assistant, and that he would choose to live in a simple two-room apartment rather than the luxurious papal accommodations in the Vatican's Apostolic Palace. In choosing to live more simply, Pope Francis broke a tradition that had been upheld by popes for more. Pope Francis has been hospitalized for various health conditions in recent years. In 2023, he underwent hernia surgery in June and spent 3 days in the hospital that March for bronchitis. In February 2025, the Pope, who had part of one lung removed as a young adult, was rushed to the hospital for another bout of bronchitis, which quickly developed into a respiratory tract infection and pneumonia in both of his lungs. After experiencing an asthma-like respiratory crisis, he was given supplemental oxygen to aid his breathing. His blood tests revealed that he also had mild kidney disease. The Vatican said the leader of the Catholic Church was in critical but stable condition at the time. After a 5-week stay, Pope Francis was discharged from the hospital in late March 2025. On his way back to Vatican City, he stopped to make his first public appearance in over a month at Rome's Papal Basilica. The Pope's doctors said he had 2 near-death experiences while hospitalized but remained stable for 2 weeks prior his release. He will require an additional 2 months of rest to fully recuperate.